First tonight on Your News Leader, we're hearing from a Memphis pastor who survived an attack outside of his church. Good evening. Thanks for being with us. I'm Shay Arthur. Pastor Clemmie Livingston was shot in the face earlier this year outside of his church as thieves stole a vehicle. Now, some of those charges against one of those suspects have been dropped. WREG's Alan Self met with that pastor today as he shared the emotional and physical toll of his journey. And Alan, what did he tell you?
Shay, Pastor Livingston invited us into his home today, not only to speak on the status of the case, but to show us just how much his injuries are impacting his daily life.
When I give it a drink, I have to use my straw to drink. Sometimes trying to get this thing upside here, it's not the easiest thing.
All right, guys, so we got to talk about a pretty wild story out of Memphis, Tennessee, a city that I will probably never, ever visit, okay? I mean, it's one of those cities where it's just like, you know what? It doesn't matter what's going on in the city. I'm just going to avoid it, okay? I'm going to skip over this city. It is on my list of liberal cities to never visit. For example, San Francisco's up there, Oakland's up there, Portland's up there, right? I have a running list of liberal cities to never visit until they turn around their leadership, okay? Once they can kind of get it together, then just maybe I will visit. In fact, it's probably more likely for me to visit El Salvador because of what Bukele has done to turn around that country than it is for me to visit a city like Memphis, who has one of the highest murder rates, not only in the country, but in the world, right? I mean, Memphis, Tennessee is quite literally one of the most dangerous cities in the world, and we don't talk about that enough, okay? And if you go to Memphis and you happen to get attacked, like for example, you get shot in the face, okay, you might not get justice because in Memphis, it seems as if they have a no snitching culture in this community that probably happens to be mostly black. And that is the reason why this pastor can't get justice after being shot in the face, what appears to be an attempted murder following a robbery. And I want to talk about this because, again, this story is so wild. And I don't understand why we aren't talking more about what is happening in these liberal cities. The destruction, chaos, and violence is something that should be a national news story. But because it's black on black violence, nobody cares, right? Nobody really cares, as admitted to by CNN, that, yeah, nobody really cares when is black on black violence.
To your earlier point, there was an incident recently. Alyssa Thomas, who happens to be African American, grabbed Angel Reese by the throat and threw her to the floor. Flagrant 2, ejected from the game. The reason why that doesn't spark as much conversation isn't just that Caitlin Clark is a bigger star than Alyssa Thomas. It's because it's a black on black incident.
Wow.
And you don't have that dynamic that people can comment on, yes, but also exaggerate and make the entire story sometimes.
And also,
well, that is really that is between the lines.
No one cared about the WNBA when women of a certain color were beating up and bruising each other because it's been happening since the league's inception. We have this star, this person that people love. They want to protect her. So now the new fans and the new analysts and the new people have so much to say. Bob, thank you for saying that and acknowledging that because you're a legend in this sport. And you are also gracious enough to say, look, I'm not an expert in the WNBA, but what I do know from the history and what I do know, this is why she is being treated this way and why no one cares.
Because I've seen it in.
I'm stunned when they say there wasn't no witnesses there, knowing that we were there. That was the thing that shocked me.
Tonight, a Memphis pastor who was shot in the face outside of his church is setting the record straight. This week, a number of charges against the suspect in that case were dropped, and the DA's office blamed that on witnesses not showing up to court.
But that pastor says he was there. Again, he was the one shot in the face. And now the DA's office is walking back their original statement.
Fox 13's Jack Bilyeu joins us live at 201 Poplar tonight. Jack, with all of these charges being dropped, is anything moving forward?
Well, the only charge that suspect now faces that has any connection to what happened to Livingston is theft, and for that charge to move forward, it still has to go in front of a grand jury first.
I don't let things disappoint me, such as this. I feel like the judicial system, they do what they want to do anyway.
In February, a group of thieves stole a Corvette outside Pastor Clemmie Livingston's church in Riverside. Livingston stepped outside while they were driving away, and one of them shot him in the face. He was left with life-threatening injuries and is still dealing with pain and facing the possibility of reconstructive surgery.
It caused me to have severe pain in my head. I'm not able to eat like normal people, and of course, my bone is still shattered down there.
In the months since it happened, there's only been one arrest in the case, 18-year-old Rashunio Greer. He was picked up on an unrelated charge, and investigators claim they found pictures of him sitting in the stolen Corvette on his phone. He allegedly admitted to being present during the robbery and to driving the black Camaro that was caught on camera driving past the church when Livingston was shot, but he did not confess to shooting him. He faced 2 charges for that case, theft and aggravated robbery. But this week, that aggravated robbery charge was dropped, and the DA said it's because no witnesses were in court. But Livingston says that's not true.
That's why I immediately called Channel 13 to correct this. Because we were present. Keep in mind, we were subpoenaed.
After living.
Yeah, so the pastor is his own witness, right? And the other witnesses that were there, they decided not to show up for some reason, okay? Because probably there's a no snitching culture in this neighborhood, in this city, where you have a pastor get shot and people in the community who, you know, hey, the pastor is supporting. By being a pastor in your community, you are helping and supporting your community. And the community around him seems to not really want to help the pastor out after being shot, because presumably they are afraid to show up to court to give their witness testimony to what happened. But see, again, the thing about this story that really pisses me off the most is that you have these young scholars that are committing these acts of violence. Now, this guy right here, I don't know, right? He was in the vehicle. Okay, he was apparently involved with the incident, but he didn't confess to shooting. So even though we know he was in the vehicle, we know that he was involved, he didn't confess to shooting, so his charges are being dropped. Now, again, you know, in my opinion, when a pastor gets shot in the face, when anybody gets shot in the face, I personally think that that is attempted murder. But again, what pisses me off outside of the charges being dropped is the fact that when these types of young scholars, when they get inevitably shot and killed by police because they live a life of crime, you will have these people boo-hoo-whining crying because, oh, well, the police roughed them up a little bit, right? In the process of taking the individual's life when the individual was probably most likely resisting arrest, okay? There will be people boo-hoo-whining, crying, you know, demanding justice, demanding accountability. But in a situation like this, when you have a pastor get shot, where's that same demand for accountability and making sure that justice happens, right? Because the witnesses, they should show up to court and they should testify so that whoever shot this pastor can be thrown in jail to keep them from shooting other people in the face. Because if you shoot a pastor in the face, you'll probably shoot anybody in the face. So again, that is the part of the story that really pisses me off the most, is that we go out our way to defend these criminals when they are shot and killed by police. But yet, when these criminals are out here shooting and killing black folks, nobody really has a problem, right? Nobody has an issue. Nobody's upset. And lo and behold, when it comes time for the community to step up and to help this pastor, it seems as if they are failing their pastor. So again, I don't know. I just think that this story right here is extremely sad, but it is much more commonplace than the so-called police brutality problem that we spend so much time focusing on, but not focusing on these types of issues right here that are keeping black people from being able to live safely in their neighborhoods and to get justice when they are done wrong. And that, again, is what I'm pissed off about the most when it comes to this story.
Livingston reached out. Fox 13 circled back with the DA's office. In an updated statement, a spokesperson confirmed witnesses were present and said that while the aggravated robbery charge was dropped, the theft charge will go in front of a grand jury.
Even if that goes to court, goes to trial or whatever, if you found guilty, it doesn't matter. It's a slap on the wrist. He can get back to a life of crime, right? So it's not really going to matter. Nothing's happening here. And part of the reason why is because Memphis has a soft on crime DA that Republicans are currently trying to ouster. It seems as if Republicans care a lot about black lives, care much more about black lives than these so-called progressives that are running these liberal cities like Memphis.
First at 10 on your news leader, the war of words continues between State Senator Brent Taylor and District Attorney Steve Mulroy. Taylor now creating a hotline to take complaints about the DA from people in Shelby County. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Stephanie Skurlock.
And I'm Greg Hirsch. The senator is hoping it helps him build a case against Mulroy. WREG's Brian Didlake joins us now live after speaking with both men about this. And Brian, what did they have to say?
Well, Stephanie, Greg, both parties, Senator Taylor and DA Mulroy, have both been civil. However, Taylor is still accusing Mulroy of not doing his job by prosecuting violent or repeat offenders. However, Mulroy claims Taylor is playing politics and says he won't go down without a fight.
Hello, please state your name after the tone and Google Voice will try to connect you.
With the sound of a beep, Shelby County residents can now leave a message either on record or anonymously on a hotline created by State Senator Brent Taylor.
Quite frankly, I expected somebody to push back and say, look, this is kind of drastic, but I got no pushback.
And Taylor set up the hotline hoping to gather more evidence following his announcement last week. He'll try to remove District Attorney Steve Mulroy. The state senator has been critical of the DA, referencing the I-240 interstate shooting that injured one man and 4 children. The suspect out on bond from a previous gun charge arrest.
Let's face it, the district attorney is not doing his job. And that's why it is important that Memphians cancel our subscription to this madness.
Taylor says the hotline has been busy, getting dozens of calls and texts and more than 10 emails in less than 24 hours.
I mean, things like sitting down with a crime victim to go over the case, only to find out that they have the wrong file with the wrong victim.
We also spoke to Shelby County District Attorney Steve Mulroy. That's regarding Tennessee House Speaker Cameron Sexton's comments on removing him from office. This comes after Mulroy announced a controversial new diversion program for some defendants charged with unlawfully possessing a weapon. Sexton posted to social media, Mulroy's actions will make Memphis more unsafe and he's seeking remedies such as removal from office. This was Mulroy's response to that.
Legislators need to get the facts before they make up their minds. We're not saying that we're not prosecuting gun cases. We're in fact prosecuting gun cases all the time. And we're making some decisions on a case-by-case basis to separate those violent offenders that we need to put the hammer down and those people that still might be able to be rehabilitated. I just think people need to cool down and listen to the facts. I think if they do, they'll find out that they'll really be upset about it.
Livingston says he's going to prey on the situation and hope that investigators can find the other people who were involved.
Well, I'm sure that others will be brought in. If you listen to the guy's statement, he said he didn't do it. He said, but I was with them. The question is, who was the them?
Now, the DA also confirmed to Fox 13 that several charges Greer faced in unrelated cases were dropped during those hearings because witnesses did not show up for those.
Now, Wow. So again, what do we have here? No snitching culture, right? So apparently this young scholar has a reputation that, hey, you know, if you show up to court and you snitch, you squeal, hey, consequences, right? That has to be what it is. Because if this guy gets charged, but yet the charges continue to be dropped because witnesses aren't showing up, and this is for separate cases, again, that is a very disturbing pattern of behavior that we're seeing that suggests that you have people that are afraid to step up and to testify against this individual. Again, even in a case like this where a pastor gets shot in the face and he's seeking justice, people are like, I'm too scared to come to court and to, give my witness testimony even though I was there, right? Again, it's just extremely, extremely, extremely disappointing. But it's stuff like this that should be talked about more than police brutality and all the other stuff that people want to talk about and focus on when it comes to the problems with the black community. This right here is one of the main issues. This no snitching culture, not good, especially for law-abiding black people, which it seems like nobody cares about them except the Republicans in Tennessee who are going out of their way to try to protect them from criminals because the woke progressives running that city won't do it, right? It's just funny how that works. It seems as if Republicans understand the value of law-abiding black citizens and black lives more so than the so-called progressives. Again, it's funny how that works. The people that actually care about black lives want to be tough on crime. If you don't want to be tough on crime, if you want to just allow criminals to get away with everything, then you can't say that you care about black lives, because that disproportionately negatively affects black people and costs black people their lives. But again, when it comes to situations and policies like progressive criminal justice reform that negatively, disproportionately impact black folks, oh, they don't care about that, right? They don't care about that, okay? They're totally fine. They're totally okay with that. And again, this is why the black community is so backwards right now. This is why we can't really move forward, because you have individuals that think that allowing young scholars to just commit crimes and not punishing them is somehow a good thing, right? Like, that's going to change their behavior, and that's just not the case. A lot of these individuals cannot be rehabilitated, right? I'm just keeping it 100 with you, okay? They've already been poisoned by the streets, so therefore, it's just best to lock them up and throw away the key, okay? Now, again, I know a lot of people don't want to hear that, okay? They don't like that. They think it's harsh. But I'm telling you, it works, right? It works. I care much more about law-abiding citizens than I do about criminals. I don't care about criminals, okay? So, hey, it is what it is. People say I'm a sellout and I'm this and I'm that, all these racial slurs. But I think that energy should be directed towards the people who refuse to testify in court in order to bring justice for this pastor, right? I think those are your real sellouts, okay? And also the criminals committing the crimes as well, too, against black folks.
Now, Livingston stressed that when it comes to Greer and the other suspects in this case, when they're in custody, he'd rather see them rehabilitated than just punished.
Yeah. So that's all fine and well, okay? I understand where the pastor's coming from, but I think the pastor's being naive here, okay? In the sense that let's hope they get punished, but I don't think some of these individuals are able to be rehabilitated, okay? I understand giving second chances. I get it. But a lot of these criminals already have gotten second chances. They've got second chances, third chances, fourth chances, fifth chances, and they just prove that, hey, they want to live a life of criminality. And once a criminal proves that he wants to live a life of criminality, that he's not going to stop committing crimes, okay, then, again, it's time to lock him up and throw away the key, right, and move on for the good of the rest of society. That's just my opinion.
See?
Well, that was Fox 13's Jack Bilyeu live at 201 Poplar tonight. Thank you so much, Jack. As Jack just mentioned, Greer admitted to driving the Camaro that was used during the car theft outside of Livingston's church. Days later, court records state that the same Camaro crashed after a police chase in East Memphis. Its driver, Derek Rawlings, faced several charges, but all charges were dropped due to lack of prosecution. None of the charges are related to the theft or the shooting that happened at Livingston's church.
Yeah, so again, what you have here are no charges for actually shooting the guy. And then the other charges that are related to actually stealing the vehicle and the aggravated robbery, those are getting dropped. So again, no punishment whatsoever, okay? No punishment for shooting the pastor in the face. No punishment for carjacking, stealing the car. No punishment. They're just walking free, man. This is what's happening in these liberal cities, and you wonder why crime is out of control. But they'll tell you, no, crime is down. With fake statistics, right? But again, this is the reality that people are living in, which is why the statistics tell a different story than what people are feeling, right? When you actually ask people, do they feel safe in these liberal cities where crime is down, right? They say no, right? I don't feel safe. It is probably the unsafest that I've felt in a long time because of these lunatics, these progressives running these cities into the ground, allowing chaos and destruction at the hands of these young scholars. Until that changes, a lot of these cities are not on my list of places that I am willing to visit. So, hey, let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.